Top of the morning to you, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode number 3 of Getting Started with Bitcoin, a Beginner's Guide. Today's episode is going to be a fun one. We're going to be learning how to buy Bitcoin. In the first 2 episodes, we learned what Bitcoin is, different use cases for it, why it's so valuable, and the power and importance of a decentralized network. And at this point, you're probably thinking, all right, I'm starting to wrap my head around this Bitcoin thing a little bit. I want to get some skin in the game. Where do I start? I usually recommend people start with $100, $200. Start with an amount that you're comfortable with and not an amount you're comfortable with losing, which is what most people will tell you. And I hate talking uncertainties, but it's pretty safe to say at this point that Bitcoin's not going to zero. However, we do need to be ready for the ups and the downs of the Bitcoin market. We've seen the price go from 69,000 all the way down to 15,000 in 1 year. But on the flip side of that, we've also seen it go from $5 all the way up to $21,000 where we're at today in 10 years. So we need to shift our focus here. We need to be thinking long term, and we really want to take things slow. So the more we learn about Bitcoin, the more we transact using the Bitcoin network, and the more of these different cycles we go through, these ups and downs, that's when we can start allocating a little bit more of our portfolio into Bitcoin. But today we're going to be starting ground zero, and I'm going to be taking an non-conventional approach to this, and you'll see what I mean in just a sec. But I'm also going to be talking about how to buy Bitcoin using a KYC exchange like Shakepay. KYC means know your customer. So when you register for a Shakepay account, they're going to know exactly who you are. You're going to have to provide all your personal information, and everything you do is going to be connected to you. I'm also going to talk about buying Bitcoin using a non-KYC exchange like Bisq, where they do not require any personal information. It's basically all peer-to-peer buying and selling Bitcoin. And finally, I'm going to wrap things up with an over-the-counter exchange, which will be used a little bit later on in our Bitcoin journey if you want to start investing, larger sums, 5,000, 10,000, because we don't want to be using Shakepay for these type of sums and these transactions. And I'm also going to be editing this video. I'm hoping it's going to help break things up a little bit. And if you need to revisit it anytime in the future, I think it'll be a lot more accessible to come back to. But without further ado, let's get things going. We're going to start with the Moon wallet. All right, so I mentioned we're going to be taking a non-conventional route here. So let me explain what that means. In the past, when I'd help people get into Bitcoin for the first time, I'd send them a link. They'd get registered, they'd get verified on Shakepay. It's a pretty straightforward process. It's how we sign up for everything nowadays. You got to have your name, your address, phone number, email, everything's so connected to you. So the first experience with Bitcoin for them was having to upload a picture of their driver's license, take a selfie, and give away all their personal information. And I think that that's the wrong approach. I think it's ass backwards, because the beauty of the Bitcoin network is that you're able to transfer value to anyone else on earth without a third party. So what I'm going to be doing here is we're going to download a Moon wallet. I'm going to send you some Satoshis. And before you get too excited, it's going to be a very insignificant amount, 10, 20 cents. But I think it's important that your first exposure, your first experience with Bitcoin is being able to receive value from somebody else without providing any of your information. Because you're going to notice when we download Moon, they don't ask you for any information. It's all anonymous. All you need is your Lightning address, your Bitcoin address, and you can receive value from somebody else. Unfortunately, Moon does not have a desktop version of it. So we're going to be going through this on the phone, which is okay. You can stop, you can pause anytime, you can always come back. The first thing we're going to do here is go to the App Store. Whether you're on Apple, Android, it doesn't really matter. And search for Moon, M-U-U-N. And I'll show you what it looks like just so you don't download the wrong wallet and get scammed. Come on now. Moon wallet. So go ahead and download that. I'm going to keep going here. You can pause it if you need. Once you open up the Moon wallet, it's going to ask you to create a PIN code. Where the heck is the Moon wallet here? There we go. And obviously I would recommend not using your code for your phone, but do whatever you want. The important thing to do right now is to get out a pen and paper, because we're going to be writing down the code and we're going to be writing down the private key. I'm not going to get too far into this because episode 4 is actually going to be specifically talking about different private wallets and the process, and make sure you do it right. And this wallet's only going to be used for the amount that I send you, 10, 20 cents. So it's not a huge deal, but I do think it's important to write this down, because with every wallet you set up, you should be doing this exact same process. So go ahead, create your PIN code, write it down on a piece of paper. And once you get into the app here, you're going to see 3 options at the bottom. It says wallet, security, and settings. So go ahead and click security. You're going to see 3 options here: back up your wallet using an email and password, creating an alternative backup where you can write down the code to recover the wallet, or create an emergency kit where you download the data to recover your money without using Moon. All of these are pretty good options, I think. I always skip number 1 because I don't like providing my email address. I want this to be totally disconnected. So you can go ahead and skip number 1 and go to number 2. Create an alternative backup. It's going to provide you with 9 words, I guess they are. It's like numbers and letters mixed up. Make sure to write this down on the same piece of paper that you had. And write this down on paper, but also know where you're going to put this piece of paper. Keep it safe in a spot where you can easily access it. It's easy to write things down and then it gets lost in your 1,000 papers in your office. And that's what we've seen in the past, is usually when people, they spend $100, $200 on Bitcoin, they think it's an insignificant amount. So they just kind of willy-nilly leave it somewhere around their office or whatever. Then they wake up in 5 years, the price of Bitcoin's gone up. We've seen historically this happen. And then they're scrambling to try to find their private key to get into their Bitcoin wallet. So even though this is an insignificant amount, we want to make sure that with every wallet, we have the exact same process to avoid that situation. And once you got your private key written down, go back to the wallet part of this. You're going to see send and receive. Go ahead and click receive. And there you're going to see 2 options at the top. It says Bitcoin or Lightning. In this case, we're going to be using the Lightning Network. And I'll probably expand on this in a different episode, the difference between the 2. But the Lightning Network allows you to transfer Bitcoin much faster and much cheaper. So as a Ukrainian, obviously, we're going to go with that option. I just like using the network. I'm blown away every time I use the Lightning Network, just how fast it is and how easy it is. So toggle to Lightning. You're going to see a different looking QR code by QR code. And then if you click that little eye, it's going to bring up your receive address for Lightning, which is like a whole chapter in a book. It's much longer than a typical Bitcoin address, and it starts with LN. But that's what we want to do here. So anytime you want somebody to send you Bitcoin, that's what you provide them with. So you can easily just click copy here. So it's copied to your clipboard. Invoice expires in 24 hours. So what you're going to do now is open up your email address or whatever you want to do. But I would suggest sending an email to me. You can send an email to 88sats, 88sats at proton.me. That's the email for our 88 sats experiment, golf, and Bitcoin. But we might as well just use that for in this case. And if you don't want to use an email, if you want to remain anonymous, I guess you could create a new email address or send me an email or send me a message on Instagram. The handle's at silverstonesca. Or you can just leave a comment in the YouTube section here, and maybe some random stranger will send you some Bitcoin if they see your Lightning address. Wouldn't bank on it, but that's how I'll be able to copy and paste it into my Moon wallet and send you some Satoshis. So like I said, I think that this is going to be, don't be weirded out by this either. I'm not trying to scam you or anything. Like the most I can do with the information you provide me with, your Lightning address, your public address, is that I can send you Bitcoin. I can also see your balance on there. So if you're really worried about it, you can always just create a new wallet, delete this one, send it to a new wallet. Easy. One thing to keep in mind though in the future is that when you do provide somebody with your Bitcoin address, is they'll be able to see the balance on there. So just be aware of that going forward. That's the Moon wallet. That's transacting on the Bitcoin network. That's how it's made to be done. But now we're going to move on to buying Bitcoin using Shakepay, using a KYC exchange. So we'll do that right now. So hopefully at this point you have downloaded your Moon wallet. You've sent me your Lightning address. I've upheld my end of the deal and sent you some free Bitcoin. Very small amount of Bitcoin, but some free Bitcoin nonetheless. And now we're actually going to be buying some Bitcoin. And to do that, we're going to be using an exchange called Shakepay. Shakepay is going to allow us to convert Canadian dollars into Bitcoin. Shakepay is a Canadian exchange. I've been using them for over a year now, and Shakepay is just so easy to use. If you've ever sent an e-transfer before, then you'll have no issues navigating with Shakepay. I'm still going to do a quick walkthrough of how to buy Bitcoin using Shakepay, but I think it's important to understand that whenever we have convenience, free, easy, we're always sacrificing our own personal data. And that's the case here with Shakepay as well. Every amount of Bitcoin that you purchase with Shakepay is going to be connected to you. That's why it's called KYC Bitcoin. For non-KYC Bitcoin, we're going to be using an exchange called Bisq. But Bisq is a lot more difficult to navigate. You have to have experience transferring Bitcoin to different wallets, and you actually have to have some Bitcoin before you can even use Bisq. So we're going to start with Shakepay here. And unfortunately, Shakepay does not have a desktop version. So we're going to be going through this on our phone as well. But before we go any further and before you get set up with Shakepay, I should mention that it's important that you have a referral code for a few reasons. The first one is that you're actually going to earn $10 worth of Bitcoin if you use somebody else's referral link. But the second part, and most importantly, is that you're going to unlock a bunch of cool features within Shakepay, like the shake feature, where you can open up your app every day, shake your phone, and earn some free Bitcoin. They also have a prepaid Visa on Shakepay that you can set up, and you can use that for gas, groceries, your everyday purchases, and earn some Bitcoin back in the process. I did a whole video actually on that on the YouTube channel. I'll maybe leave a link to that below. And I'll also put my referral link for Shakepay in the description below. So you can use my link. You can use one of your friends' links. If you know a friend who's using Shakepay, you can get their referral code. But either way, make sure that you have a referral link because it's important. You might as well take advantage of this free Bitcoin, incentives, all that kind of stuff. It's a really cool way, I think, that Shakepay brings new people to their exchange. So we're going to go with that. The process itself here is pretty simple. I'm going to assume at this point that you have been registered, verified with Shakepay. You've used a link, and now we're on the main screen. And I kind of want to give a big picture overview of what's going to happen here because with Bitcoin, people always think that it's going to be super complex when it's really not. What we're going to be doing here is once you're set up, you're going to set up Shakepay as a contact in your online banking. They have all the instructions here within the app. Similar to like if you were going to send me an e-transfer, you'd have to set me up as a contact first. So you have the instructions here. Then you're going to send an e-transfer to Shakepay, whatever amount you want, $100, $200. Once they receive that, you'll get a notification and your wallet will be funded in Canadian dollars. So from there, that's when you can use Shakepay to convert that into Bitcoin. And then always, whenever you're using an exchange, you want to move that Bitcoin as soon as you can off of that exchange, which is why episode 4 in this series is going to be moving Bitcoin off an exchange into your own private wallet. So let's get things going here. I'm going to assume right now that you've been verified, you've signed up, and you're in the app right now. So similar to the Moon wallet, you have a couple options at the bottom. One's the wallet. The second one's the Shakepay prepaid Visa. Then there's a buy and sell option, the big blue button. And then a dollar sign where you can send dollars to other people using Shakepay. And then the settings right at the end. So we're going to use the wallet there on the far left. If you open that up, it should be all zeros, I guess, if you're just starting this. But you're going to click Add Funds. And once you do that, you're going to select Interact e-Transfer. So just like I mentioned, if you were going to be sending me an e-transfer, I would have to provide you with my email or phone number, and then a security question and a security answer for you to accept that. or to set me up as a contact. So it's no different for Shakepay. You have the email address there that they want you to use. The security question is your Shake tag, and then they have a code for the security answer. So you can copy and paste all that into your online banking app, whatever you use, whatever bank. And once you have them set up as a contact, you're actually going to, excuse me, you're actually going to use your online banking app to send Shakepay, the contact you just set up, an e-transfer. So you can go ahead and do that now. Just as you usually would, send an e-transfer to Shakepay, $100, $200, whatever amount you want to convert into Bitcoin. And once you've done that, it can take anywhere from a minute to half an hour. With my bank or my credit union, it takes half an hour, which is a little bit of an inconvenience, but it shows up either way. And once they receive your e-transfer, you'll get a notification for that. And once they receive it, it should show up in the dollars balance there, Canadian dollars. Once that's been funded, we're going to click the bottom arrows there, the two arrows going back and forth, buy and sell. And then it has a button called buy and sell instant. So you click that. And this is where we're going to be converting the Canadian dollars into Bitcoin. So you can either use the max button on the right side to convert all dollars into Bitcoin, or you can do a custom amount. I have $11.56 here. Pretty poor. But I'll type it. I guess I'm buying some Bitcoin here. So I'll do $10 worth. Huge purchase. And then you click buy Bitcoin. And then it'll confirm that you're converting your dollars into Bitcoin. And then you click confirm. You just bought Bitcoin. So I got 34,731 Satoshis for $10 Canadian. What a steal. And so now if you click close there, it should show your dollar balance has decreased by whatever amount you purchased, and your Bitcoin balance should be up in the same amount. So that's Shakepay. Like I said, in episode 4, we're going to learn how to move the Bitcoin off of Shakepay into our own private wallet, like the Moon wallet. But for now, we're going to be talking about our next part of the journey, Bisq, decentralized non-KYC exchange. And we'll see you in just 1 second. So this next part is we're going to be using a decentralized exchange called Bisq. And Bisq is going to allow us to purchase some non-KYC Bitcoin where our personal data is not attached to that Bitcoin in any way. And I should give a bit of a warning here. If you're new to Bitcoin, if you just use Shakepay for the first time, I would not advise using Bisq yet. Maybe bookmark this video, come back in a couple months or a year from now and you want to get your hands on some non-KYC Bitcoin. It's probably a good idea. I'm actually not even going to be buying any Bitcoin today because it is a much more involved process. And I think it's probably a better idea to do a 20-30 minute video in the future on an actual buy sell order from Bisq. But I did want to mention that because if you're just still kind of watching, and I just don't want you to get too confused with everything here. So we're going to keep going. And probably the key difference between Bisq and Shakepay is that instead of sending an e-transfer to Shakepay like we just did, we're actually not going to be sending an e-transfer to Bisq. Bisq is just going to facilitate the trade. So we're going to be, once we want to buy Bitcoin, we're actually going to be sending an e-transfer or another form of payment to another person. So it's peer-to-peer. Bisq just kind of facilitates it. So when you download Bisq, you're going to set up your account, and you actually don't have to put in any of your personal information, but you do have to start with some specifics like what you want to transact in. So you can use Interac e-transfer, you can use Amazon gift cards, you can even do a live in-person meeting to sell Bitcoin for cash, which I would love to be a part of one day. But it gives options like that. So you're not actually sending an e-transfer to Shakepay, who facilitates the buying and selling of it. You're sending an e-transfer or a gift card, whatever it is, to another person. And whenever you have two individuals who do not know each other living in different parts of the world, there's always going to be a trust issue there. And so what Bisq does to counteract that is they require both sides, the buyer and the seller, to deposit an equal amount of Bitcoin into a wallet within Bisq. And that deposit will stay there until both sides of the agreement have been satisfied with the deal. So for example, if I'm selling some Bitcoin, I find a buyer using Bisq, they send me an e-transfer and I send them the Bitcoin. In a few weeks, they try to get slick and they do a chargeback on me. But because both sides had to deposit Bitcoin into the wallets here, I say that they scam me. They did not fulfill their end of the agreement, and I take their Bitcoin. So it's a great way to keep both sides honest. It prevents any sort of funny business. And you can also use, similar to like Uber, where you leave reviews. You have different statuses based on how long you've been doing it. All that's on here. So there is accountability involved with Bisq. And like I said, this is something that if you're just new to Bitcoin, this is probably not something that you want to be doing right away, but it's a great tool to have in your back pocket for later. So there's Bisq, there's RoboBlocks, and there's one more, I forget what it's called. They're all decentralized exchanges. And I think that there's going to be more and more of these pop up over time, because having non-KYC, having no attachment to that Bitcoin might be a big deal in the future. I don't know either way, but I think it's a possibility. So it's a good idea to have some KYC Bitcoin, some non-KYC Bitcoin, but this will all come over time. So that is it for Bisq. We're going to move on now to an over-the-counter exchange called Caleb and Brown. All right, this is it. This is the last piece to the puzzle. We're going to be learning about an over-the-counter exchange called Caleb and Brown. An over-the-counter exchange basically means that they don't use any sort of algorithms or trading software. It's all done person to person. And Caleb and Brown is a brokerage, and they would have a huge network of other brokers, other individuals that they would buy and sell Bitcoin with, and other cryptocurrencies. So this is who you'd be using for some of the larger purchases, like 10,000 bucks, 15,000 bucks, even 5,000 bucks. You don't want to be sending an e-transfer to Shakepay for $5,000. So this is where you're going to use Caleb and Brown, and you're going to send them a bank wire. Once they receive that, you're going to instruct them whether you want to buy Bitcoin, Theta. They have a ton of different offerings. We're going to stick to Bitcoin probably though. But once they buy it for you, they can either keep it in their own cold storage or they can send it back to you. And I've used Caleb and Brown a bunch of different times now. I keep a small portion of my Bitcoin with Caleb and Brown, just because in case Bitcoin were to, run up to $500,000 tomorrow, there is a small chunk of my Bitcoin that I'm willing to part with, and they have it. And as soon as that happens, I'll be able to call or email these guys and say, please sell my Bitcoin. And then obviously they'll turn around, send me a bank wire with cash for the amount of Bitcoin that I sold. Even if you do not plan on making any large purchases in the next little while, I would still highly recommend getting set up for a Caleb and Brown account. And the reason for that is because when Bitcoin either runs up or crashes down, the majority of other exchanges like Shakepay, like Binance, like Newton, they always go down for maintenance whenever this happens. And this is when you want to be buying and selling Bitcoin, when the price is running up or crashing down. So Caleb and Brown, use them as like a tool within your toolkit, and you're going to have them as a fallback in case you want to buy or sell, and all the exchanges that you usually use are down for maintenance. So I'm going to put my link below here. You're going to save 30% on commission fees, on all your commission fees into the future. Plus you're going to get hooked up with your own preferential or your own advisor, which is pretty cool. So I'm an affiliate with Caleb and Brown, and that's why they offer this 30% off and your own personal advisor at Caleb and Brown. It's nice just to be able to talk to someone. I think that's going to be a huge competitive advantage into the future, is companies like Caleb and Brown who have real humans to talk to. And anytime you want to buy or sell any Bitcoin, all you have to do is send them an email, call your advisor, and it's done. And like I said, I think that this is going to be such an important tool in your toolbox, along with, having a KYC exchange, having non-KYC options, as we go through these different cycles, you're going to see how important these tools are. And so that is it for today. That is how you purchase Bitcoin. There's a lot of stereotypes around Bitcoin and how complex it is and all this kind of BS. It's actually really simple, and you can kind of go as far as you want down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and you can learn different things. Like I said, I've been doing this for a few years now, and I'm still learning new things about Bitcoin every day. But to get some skin in the game, to get your feet wet, this is a really good place to start. Start with $100, $200, go from there. Take things slow, learn as much as you can. Start playing around with Bitcoin if you want to set up a few different wallets and just transact with it. We're going to be learning how to do that in episode number 4. But if you want to, where are you? If you want to skip ahead, if you bought some Bitcoin and you want to get it off of the exchanges ASAP, you can book a call with me. The first 15-minute call is free. And then we can decide if we need half an hour, if we need an hour. Figure out what you need, figure out how I can help. I'm very flexible with the time and the topics. So once again, that is a link to my calendar if you want to skip ahead, or if you're going through this video and you get stuck somewhere along the way. It's always nice to have somebody there that can hold your hand through it, somebody who's been there before. It just gives you better peace of mind, and it helps you sleep better at night. Once we get, like I said, moving into wallets, getting some self-custody, getting the right processes in place, and having the best security that we can find for where we're at right now. So that's it. Once again, if you have any questions, hopefully you've already sent me your Lightning address so I can send you some Bitcoin. If you made it this far, congrats. And that's all I got for you today. So once again, I appreciate you very much. Thank you if you've been subscribing, if you've been liking the videos, if you've been sharing this with friends and family. That's how this community is going to grow. And it's such a simple thing to do, but it's very effective. The more eyes we can get in front of here, I think the better off we'll be into the future. So once again, appreciate you very much, and we'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.